some of the failures that he seemed to let slide rather than struggle for. But not having walked into his moccasins, I don't really know of all his problems. I think he's a decent human being. I think he's an extremely intelligent human being. I think he wants to help. But he has failed to get us out of expanding violence. The one untouched in his budget is the one thing that has to be reduced radically. That's the defense, as it calls military expenditures. Until you see that, you don't see the problem. You know? We'll see how it goes in the midterm elections. And if it goes bad, he'll have a rocky time, and it may be the end of what seemed like a wonderful thing to me when it started. There's not much more you can say. I trust him, I believe in him. I think he does know things about the world condition and about our role. No president ever knows. I hope he'll be able to go the course more than he has.
This woman, that man, and Peggy, and Josh is. And Josh, can you give us a report what's happening? How many people are out there?
17 people from London to Calgary to all around. And so there's some questions that maybe after the people in the room I can posit that people out here are asking you.
Well, could we just do one? Can you hold off till just do one off the...
Well, actually a lot of people are interested to know your views about 9/11 and whether you've read any books that suggest that 9/11 was an inside job.
I'll tell you, I've had to resist conspiracy theories all my life, because I think I say all my life, I've resisted the conspiracy theories on Kennedy. I wasn't as close to that as the investigation, because I was Attorney General when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and I was very close to him and thought he was our greatest American. But I have always believed that there was not a conspiracy there. We want a conspiracy, you know, because it's evil and it's vast. And it's hard to believe that a single individual can change history that way. But Kennedy had a statement that's written on one of the peripheries of the Kennedy Center that says, "I look forward to the day when America is no longer afraid of grace and beauty." And I think that's why there are people that have to hate grace and beauty because they don't see it in their lives, they don't have it themselves. I think that's basically what attracted someone to want to kill him. Dr. King, I was in charge of protecting the marchers from Selma, Montgomery. And I had an army down there. We had 1,200 military police, Marine Corps, Navy, Army. We had 10,000 National Guard, 200 Border Patrol, 150 Marshals. There are a lot more FBI agents probably, but I wouldn't know about them. Particularly, they weren't any help anyway. They were riding in the car, which we didn't do, so it was killed. So they're not an agent, but an informant. But the FBI told me at that time, and I believe this, they had identified 1,200 people who had come to the Selma, Montgomery area, just about 50, 60 miles, and had felony convictions for violence. It had racist components, and it had guns. And maybe a rifle or shotgun, one of them back in the camp and pick up, or had guns. 1,200. Why would they take all that over? They were coming from 5 different states to come here. There's so many things that they could have done to, rather than destroy the World Trade Centers. And I was there that day. I walked down from 12th Street. I was supposed to leave that night for Arusha, Tanzania for a trial that began that next Monday with the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. And saw the towers fall. I walked all the way down to Canal Street, which is as far as the next building. But there's a new book out on the King assassination by a fellow named Sides, S-I-D-E-S, in which he has meticulously tracked every place that James Earl Ray went, what he did. And I just think it's a pretty closed case. You have to keep an open mind on these things, obviously. But if you let your energy get consumed in whether, how are you ever going to prove now whether it was a conspiracy to kill Kennedy, whether it was Russians, or it's interesting to see who would point the finger to somebody. The FBI immediately said, it shows how ridiculous it was, that there was a Russian who got off a ship in Mobile, Alabama, named Eric Stavro Galt. That was the name that James Earl Ray was using. They thought it was Russian. They wanted to say, why? Because they hate the Russians. It's one of their big cases, you know, in the Soviet Union. The blacks all said it was the Klan. They had to believe it was the Klan because the Klan was hurting them more than anybody else down there. And the whites believed it was radical blacks, white races. Everybody had that hatred, but no one could see his life like that, you know. You've got a bunch of people that have been brutalized and dehumanized and do crazy things. The World Trade Center is a big deal. But the thing we know and can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt is that George Bush ordered an attack on Iraq. It was a war of aggression, the supreme international crime that has killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people and creating conditions of unbearable living that are unprecedented in history, probably, in terms of their complexity. You're afraid you go out the front door, you're afraid of everything. You know, when you leave the country, heartbreaking, you see no future. And you still see it perhaps getting worse, probably getting worse. So I think we have to concentrate on the big picture. I feel the same way about murder. Start talking about murder. There's a lot of law on murder. I mean, there are 700,000 people charged with murder or in prison for murder right now. The standard of proof in law are very clear. But the people that are killed are mass and indiscriminate overwhelmingly in a war of aggression. It's not a specific intent to murder a particular person. So you're going out there and slaughtering thousands of people. To me, to call it murder even demeans the nature of the crime. But genocide shows that you intend to destroy in whole or in part a whole class of people because of their religion, because of their race, because of the other two conditions. That is a crime. And when you do it by a war of aggression, you're threatening the whole world. There's not a country on the earth that doesn't realize that we can attack them if we want to.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'd like to wish you all good luck for tomorrow. I hope things work out very well for you. I guess my question may wind up being rhetorical because until the outcome of the trial is known or until George Bush is called to task for his crimes, I guess we don't really know. But my question I'd like to give to all three of you, if you can possibly answer it, and it would be that if that day were to come around again, what might you do differently, or what might you think could be done differently in order to get the result that you ultimately would want? Is there anything that you would have done, you would do differently if you had this chance to do it again? That's my question.
Well, actually, I guess I should answer that because I'm the one that broke the line at that day. No, I